Most men know exactly what they're doing. If you're just an option to him, he knows. And if you're the one, he knows that too. Men don't stumble into love, they choose it, deliberately. And the way a man treats you will always reveal which role you play in his life. Hi, I'm Vernon again. I've been a man long enough to tell you this without flinching. When a man meets a woman he sees as the one, everything changes. His focus, his energy, his future. And when you're just convenient, his behavior shows that too, in subtle but painful ways. Today, I'm going to break it down. No sugarcoating, no guessing games. You'll learn exactly how men act when they're serious and how they act when they're just passing time. If you're tired of second-guessing your worth or his intentions, you need to hear this. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more wisdom grounded in truth. Your support helps keep these conversations going. So let's ease into the first subtle sign, the kind that reveals itself not in grand gestures, but in the small ways a man either lets you in or quietly keeps you at arm's length. 1. The silent test. Presence versus availability. It starts with presence. Not physical presence, but emotional. A man who sees you as just an option will often be there, but not with you. He'll show up, yes. He'll text, he'll call sometimes, but there's a hesitation in his rhythm, like a man standing halfway in the doorway, unsure if he should step inside or leave altogether. He doesn't ask the deeper questions. He doesn't really listen to your answers. He might say the right things, but they lack the weight of intent. Because for him, the connection is convenient, not essential. Contrast that with a man who sees you as the one. He doesn't just show up. He offers the rarest gift a man can give, full presence. It's in the way his attention doesn't drift when you speak, the way he remembers the offhand details you didn't think mattered, the way he asks not just what you do, but why it matters to you. Because a man who has chosen you in his heart isn't trying to impress. He's trying to understand. He's not performing interest. He's making room in his world for who you truly are. And that kind of engagement, it's never casual. It's intentional. It's rooted in something deeper than desire. It's rooted in recognition. He sees you not as a fleeting moment, not as a season in his life, but as the very thread that ties it all together. In his eyes, you are not just a chapter, you are the narrative. And because of that, every word he speaks, every choice he makes, begins to carry the weight of legacy. A man who sees you this way moves differently, with intention, with reverence, because to him, you are not just part of the story, you are why the story matters. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish." A man who sees you as the one is willing to look vulnerable, even foolish, because he values the connection more than his pride. And that's the first quiet test. Does he bring his full presence or just his availability? You can't fake presence. And once you start noticing it, or the lack of it, you'll never unsee it again. Which brings us to another telling contrast.
One that plays out not in what he gives, but in what he protects. What?
2. Protection versus exposure. How he guards what matters. Picture a man standing in front of a fire on a cold night. If the fire means nothing to him, he'll leave it exposed. Let the wind blow it out, walk away without a second thought. But if that fire is keeping him alive, if it holds meaning, he'll build shelter around it. He'll guard it. He'll check on it, feed it, and keep it burning. That's how a man treats a woman he values deeply. If you're the one, he will protect the connection, not in dramatic ways, but in consistent ones. He'll shield it from distractions, from carelessness, from things that drain his presence. You'll feel the boundaries he sets, the time he prioritizes, the way he's careful with your heart. But if you're just an option, he'll expose you to confusion, to inconsistency. He'll let others into your space, emotionally or even physically, because there's no sense of sacredness around the bond. And when something isn't sacred, it becomes negotiable. Here's the truth. Men guard what they fear losing. If there's no effort to protect the connection, it likely means he's not afraid of losing you because he never saw the connection as essential in the first place. So ask yourself, is he protecting the space between you or leaving it open for erosion? This distinction matters more than it seems, because over time, a relationship that lacks protection isn't just vulnerable, it's slowly dissolving. And as a woman who values her peace and self-worth, you must decide, will you wait for someone to guard what you've built together? Or will you protect your own heart by walking away from someone who won't? Your energy, your love, your time, these are sacred currencies, and how you allow them to be spent reflects how deeply you value yourself. If he treats them carelessly, the question isn't why he doesn't honor them, it's why you continue offering them where they're not cherished. Because every time you give sacred parts of yourself to someone who won't protect them, you send a message to him and to yourself that your peace is negotiable. But what if it wasn't? What if your standard became this? If you can't guard what matters to me, you don't get access to it. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. And sometimes, clarity is the most loving thing you can give, not just to him, but to yourself. So if this resonates, save this video. Come back to it. Because sometimes wisdom doesn't fully sink in the first time. Sometimes you need to sit with it and let it burn slowly, like a quiet truth in the back of your mind. So let's take this even further. Because the way a man responds when you draw a line, when you say, "This is what I need," tells you more than any romantic gesture ever could. 3. Respecting boundaries versus subtly undermining them. Let me ask you something. What does he do when you say no? Not when you say it playfully, but when you mean it. Because a man's true character isn't revealed when things are easy. It's revealed the moment you draw a line he didn't expect. That's when his patience, his respect, and his real intentions step into the light. Think of a garden, one that you've nurtured, watered, and protected over time. The fence around it isn't to keep beauty in, it's to keep what doesn't belong out. You don't put up boundaries because you're difficult. You put them up because you know what your peace costs. A man who sees you as the one understands this. He doesn't flinch when you express a need. He doesn't roll his eyes when you say no. Instead, he listens. He adjusts. Not out of obligation, but because protecting your comfort becomes part of how he shows up. It's subtle. He respects your pace in the relationship. He's mindful of your emotional thresholds. And when something feels off to you, he doesn't question your sensitivity. He honors your awareness. But the man who sees you as optional will often smile through your boundaries while quietly testing them. Not in overt ways, but through gentle pressure. The late-night texts after you've asked for space. The jokes that dismiss your limits as too serious. The requests wrapped in charm that try to inch past your lines. This isn't respect, it's rehearsal. A way to see how far he can go before you push back. Here's the truth no one tells you. The first boundary a man resists is rarely the last. If he challenges the small things, eventually he'll challenge the big ones too. And by then, it's no longer about him misunderstanding. It's about him not caring. At this stage in life, your boundaries aren't walls, they're wisdom. They reflect years of learning what drains you, what hurts you, and what no longer belongs in your world. And the man who truly wants to belong in your world, he doesn't climb your fences. He knocks and waits to be invited in. If this speaks to something you've lived through, save this video. Let it serve as a quiet reminder that your boundaries are valid, necessary, and worthy of respect. Because the way a man handles your no will tell you everything about whether he deserves your yes. Let's move into something just as revealing. Not what he says, but how he makes you feel in the quiet moments in between. 4. Security versus subtle anxiety. How you feel when he's around. Ever noticed how your body reacts when you're with him? Not your mind, your body. There's something profound in the way your nervous system speaks before your logic kicks in. He already knows. This isn't someone who makes you feel secure. See, when a man sees you as the one, your body can rest. You're not overthinking his tone. You're not decoding his silences. You're not stuck in the loop of, did I say too much, or was I too much today? Instead, you feel grounded. Your breath deepens. There's a quiet sense of safety, not because everything's perfect, but because he's consistent, predictable, emotionally stable. But when you're just an option, there's always a little emotional turbulence. One day he's warm, the next he's distant. One week he's making plans, the next he's just really busy. And your body becomes the battleground, tense, uncertain, quietly exhausted from trying to read signals he refuses to make clear. Here's something I've learned over the years. Confusion isn't chemistry. Anxiety isn't attraction. And if you confuse emotional chaos with passion, you'll stay locked in cycles that deplete you. You deserve peace, not as a reward, but as a requirement. And the man who sees you as the one, he becomes a source of that peace, not a reason you lose it. So ask yourself,
How does your body feel around him? Safe? Steady? Or constantly on alert? Now is your turn. Tell me in comments, has your body ever known the truth before your heart was ready to admit it? Your story might be exactly what another woman needs to read today. If you still watch till now, stay tuned, because I'm going to reveal the way a man shows up in your pain says more than anything he does when things are easy.
5. Comfort or distance? How he responds when you're in pain. There's a moment in every relationship when the masks come off, not during the good times, but when something hurts. And it's in these vulnerable cracks that a man reveals what he's really made of. When you're in pain, whether from something he did or something life threw your way, how does he respond? A man who sees you as the one doesn't flinch at your emotion. He doesn't try to fix you. He doesn't minimize what you feel. He stays. He listens. He softens. My friend Lena, for example, she lost her sister unexpectedly. The man she was dating at the time, we'll call him Jeff, was charming, attentive, until grief showed up. When Lena broke down on the phone one night, Jeff fell silent. The next day, he texted her, "Let me know when you're feeling better." And that was it. No follow-up, no flowers, no presents. But months later, Lena met Mark. They weren't even official yet when her emotions hit again during dinner. Mark didn't try to cheer her up. He simply reached across the table, held her hand, and said, "Take your time. I'm not going anywhere." It wasn't grand, but it was steady. And in that moment, Lena felt something she hadn't in years: safe. Here's what that reveals. The right man doesn't run from your storms. He steps in quietly, like shelter. And if he pulls away when you're hurting, if he disappears when things get uncomfortable, then he was never there for you. He was only there for the version of you that made him comfortable. The real test isn't how he treats you when you're smiling. It's how he holds space when you're breaking. By now, you've seen what's real and what's performative. These aren't just 5 signs, they're 5 mirrors, each reflecting the quiet truth about where you stand in a man's heart. And if these mirrors showed you something painful, something you didn't want to admit, I want you to know that awareness is a gift. Because clarity isn't cruel. Clarity is kind. It's the beginning of reclaiming your time, your dignity, your peace. The Greek philosopher Socrates once said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And perhaps the most courageous thing we can examine is how we're treated when no one's watching. When there's no effort to impress. When all that's left is instinct. How a man behaves when your guard is down, when you need care, when you need consistency, that's not romance, that's truth. And if the truth is that he doesn't protect you, doesn't respect your boundaries, doesn't bring peace or show up when it matters, then you already have your answer. At this stage of life, love should not feel like a negotiation. It should feel like recognition. You don't need to prove yourself worthy of real love. You only need to recognize when it's not being offered. So if this video brought clarity, share it with a woman who needs the same. Drop a comment with what resonated most. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because wisdom is the one thing that never grows old. I'm Vernon. Thank you for walking through this truth with me today, and see you in my next video.